Hey guys, and welcome back. On today's episode, we'll be talking about Midnight Resistance, a port of the popular arcade run-and-gun shooter released by Data East for the Sega Genesis back in 1990. The game takes place in the distant and war-torn future where you, a resistance fighter, must work to rescue your family from the clutches of a mad scientist. Nothing too overly original, sure, but story doesn't really matter in games like this one, even though it is presented in a pretty funny opening cutscene. Like most games in the genre, it's really just all about blasting the crap out of pretty much anything that stands in your way. Midnight Resistance features a total of 9 stages that you'll have to fight through, with a stage boss at the end of each one. You may be thinking that Midnight Resistance bears a striking resemblance to Contra by looking at the gameplay, and it does. Well, it does and it doesn't. When playing through the game, you'll pick up several little red key items that can be used in between stages. See, after each level is cleared, you're taken into a storage room where certain amounts of your stocked up keys can be used to purchase new weapons and, of course, power-ups. The weapon selection is basic and offers pretty much exactly what you would expect for a run-and-gun shooter. There are rapid-fire guns, spread cannons that shoot in multiple directions, shotguns that fire slower but do more damage, a flamethrower that can be moved around in midair, etc. As cool as it is to be able to strategize and choose the weapons you want for the next stage, the system is also flawed. The thing is, when you buy a new weapon and head into the next level, you can also lose it and end up getting stuck with the default weapon for the rest of the stage, and that's really no fun. And this happens a lot more than I would like, too. There are so many instances where you'll get hit and your gun will fly off screen just far enough so that you can't pick it up, which basically means you're totally out of luck. And that's another thing about Midnight Resistance, and another similarity to Contra, in that it's really damn hard. One hit is all it takes to lose a life, your keys, and whatever weapon you're carrying. I would go so far as to say that Midnight Resistance is one of the hardest run-and-gun shooters I've ever played. Some of the enemies and bosses in this game just seem completely unavoidable a lot of the time. It's frustrating, sure, but it is rewarding when you finally figure out the best way to tackle a level that's been beating the hell out of you. Part of what made the arcade game unique was that it features a second joystick for the aiming, kinda like Robotron or Akari Warriors. The Sega Genesis iteration handles this a bit differently by providing 2 options for shooting and a couple of different sets of control schemes. You can keep the hero's aim steady by holding B, or tap the A button to shoot continuously while changing the direction with the D-pad, and it does take quite some time to get used to. Another big difference from the arcade version is that this version is single player only, which is probably part of the reason why it seems so much harder. The graphics and visuals in Midnight Resistance are actually really good and very close to the arcade game. Pretty much everything is accounted for here, and the stages are varied and colorful, with no 2 of them looking exactly alike. The same goes with the bosses and effects. It's all very smooth, and Data East did a fantastic job on the port. The music and sound effects are right on par too, with some really rockin' background music. The actual sound effects themselves are a little bit more subdued, but overall the sound design in this game is top-notch. Midnight Resistance is a great side-scrolling shooter game on the Genesis, but it's not without its flaws. The game is incredibly difficult to the point of being ridiculous at times, and the lack of co-op play really does hurt its replay value in the long run. Even with that said, if you enjoyed the original arcade version like I did, you'll most certainly enjoy Data East's excellent port, even if you do have to play it alone. It's a very reasonably priced game too, and can be usually found online for well under $10. If you're looking for a fun yet challenging action game on the Sega Genesis, you can definitely do a lot worse than Midnight Resistance. As always, guys, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay classic.